Yo, what is up guys? Epic Pokemon TCG here, and if you guys caught my last video, you saw that I don't want to say I absolutely roasted the Pokemon TCG format. Well, I kind of did. But I thought in this video I would take a different approach with it, and I would talk about some things I think Pokemon, whoops-a-daisy, thought about some things that Pokemon could do to possibly improve on their tournament formats and just the game overall. So I do have it right here on my phone, so I'm going to be going off of this. So the first one I wanted to talk about is something that is kind of mixed, so I'm not really going to go in it too much, and that's expanded. I'm one of those people that I think that once something rotates, it should be gone, because that's how Pokemon has been for the longest time, and I don't think that there should be tournaments that, you know, is a bunch of rotated cards, but I know some people love it. Really, if I were to make any changes to Expanded, I would probably add a rotation to Expanded. That would probably be about it. So, quick little move on there. Another thing I think they should do is I honestly think that they need to try to steer away from EXs. EXs have been a part of the game, I feel like, for too long. I'm going to move the camera. There we go. I feel like EXs have been part of the game for way too long now. They've been in the game, let's see, it's Next Destinies, which came out a very long time ago. I see, GX Pokemon are coming out. I don't really know exactly what Sun and Moon is going to be doing. I don't know, like, the route that's going, but I feel like, for the most part, I feel like we need to try to steer away from EXs. I think it's time. I think it's time for Pokemon to just make that transition, and just kind of start get away from that and start, kind of cycling out them, periodically. I tried to think of the word and I could not think of it. But yes, I do feel like that's something that needs to happen, because it's just been it makes the games way too quick, I feel like, and, Lysandering for 2 prizes just seems like, I mean, it's just kind of weird, and that's just something I've never really been a fan of, is like games ending in 3 knockouts is something I've just never really been like a big fan of. And with cards like Shaman in the format, and just things hitting for so much damage now, I feel like that's something that's definitely an issue. And I know that GX Pokemon have the EX rule, kind of, where, if you knock them out, you take 2 prizes. And on top of that, I feel like Mega Pokemon, I don't know. Like, I love Mega Pokemon, don't get me wrong. I've played EXs, I've transitioned to that in the format, but I feel like it's time to just kind of get rid of that. Next up is one that I did an entire video on, and that's better tournaments. If you guys didn't catch that video, that's my last video. If you want to go pause this, want to go check that out. But basically, the tournament format now sucks total ass, pretty much, and I'm very convinced that pretty much the people in charge of deciding what tournaments are actually in the format are just a bunch of mindless baboons sitting around doing this, basically. So honestly, I feel like we need better events. I feel like they need to go back to the old ways, instead of you play your locals or you play your regionals, instead of trading out events for more points, because that seems to be the classic comeback for people who are supportive of this tournament format. Is they're so quick to throw back in my face or someone else's face that you get more points now, so that should be okay. When in reality, I don't think that a good time and more events is something you could trade for more points, because basically by now I would have already attended like a cities, or there probably would already been something that has come up, or some type of other tournaments, but instead we started transitioning away with like league challenges and such, and that's just really annoying, honestly. The tournament format, in my opinion, started going down once league challenges were introduced, so I think that they need to try to bring back more events that could go on periodically, that are a little more casual and a little more easier for people to get to. Because basically now what it's kind of coming to, and I'm not at all bashing the idea of people from other countries coming into, the United States or something like that, or people traveling for events. I'm not at all against that. I just don't think that that should be the only way that you're able to go to an event, is if you fork over a shit ton of money to travel to an event. I feel like that's the one thing that I'm just not a big fan of, is that if you do want to have a good experience, or you do want to do something for Pokemon, that's outside your area, you have to travel a far away. And with cities and even battle roads coming in, obviously they're probably never going to bring back battle roads because they're so hell bent on having league challenges. I feel like with them introducing cities and states back into the tournament rotations, I feel like that would just make it a lot easier for people to go to events. And I feel like, you would have to travel like a less distance and such. Personally, I just am not a fan of this tournament format whatsoever. And that's just what I think. I think that they need to go back to the old style and increase more events. If people are really that committed, then they will. I don't see why the point count can't be upped for the invitation if you put in more events. I mean, that's just what I'm saying. Obviously, I don't go for the world's invite ever. I don't. I play this game casually, and so I know that there are people that play this game extremely competitively, and so that's why I just really think that they need to introduce more events back into it. And I think that they need to make it to where there are closer locations for the big areas to go play, such like Texas, Florida, and other places like that. And so that's just my opinion. That's just what I feel. But I did an entire video on this, so I'm not really go into it anymore. You guys know how I feel about it. The next one I want to kind of get into here is kind of going from the EX perspective. I want to say I think some cards are getting stupidly expensive now, especially cards like Shaman.
What the fuck?
I even saw Hoopa going for quite a bit of money. I feel like they need to stop making these cards like. Let me kind of backtrack. I think that they need to make cards easier to get / make them less expensive. I know this is an unpopular comment to make, but I think they need to remake Shaman. I think they need to reprint Shaman in something because it's just way too expensive of a card, and we're in an era now where basically you really need Shaman in pretty much every deck, and I just don't like that. Yes, some decks can get away with Octillery. I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to crack my water bottle. But for the most part, I feel like that they need to reprint Shaman or make these cards less expensive or make them easier to get, because we are kind of getting into, you gotta pay a lot to travel, cards are getting ridiculously expensive, and so on and so forth. So that's one of the things I think that they personally need to do. Of course, by now, if they were to reprint Shaman, that means whenever the next rotation would come up, I think Shaman would still remain in the format. But you guys get what I mean. I mean, if there's some type of card that is like a absolute staple in so many things, but it's going to cost like $50 or something like that, or however much Shaman is going for now. I got 3 of them, so I haven't really looked at it, but we've seen cards in the past that have been very expensive, not because of the collector's value or nothing like that. That's not what I'm really categorizing them in. I'm talking about because of their playability and just how good they are. And we've seen Luxray GL Level X. That's a really good example. Yanmega Prime was a really good example. Tropical Beach is an interesting card. It was really expensive because 1, it was very good, and 2, it was like very hard to get. And now we're kind of seeing that with Shaman. I mentioned Hoopa. I've seen Hoopa go for a lot of money, but Hoopa's, if you can luck out, you can get one for about $20 if you can find the 10. But I know there's some people who are rarity whores and all that stuff. And I talk about that because there's a lot of people pissed off about the Ultra Ball reprint. That's something I've been seeing that like has just been all over my Facebook and such, and it's kind of annoying because I'm seeing it so much. But that's why that kind of popped into my head, was making cards easier to get, because a lot of people are pissed off that they're remaking Ultra Ball because they spent so much money on their Ultra Balls. And yes, that is a different topic because it is a secret rare card, but I feel like if they kind of made stuff easier to, not to bring like another game into as an example, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Recently has, from what I've heard, has made it a lot easier to get certain cards that you kind of need, or just like cards in general for other decks, in like these special like releases, like special packs and such. And so I feel like if Pokemon started creating like more like take away these pointless like EX boxes and like all these random things that they seem to just release that have like useless cards as like the main product and then packs in them. I feel like if they took that away and started releasing usable cards, like these really awesome like special edition things, like where they remake the card or something like that, and they sell it in stores for the same price with like maybe like a couple packs in it, or if they started releasing that really good blister packs with like some good promos in it. I feel like that would be really good. I feel like that would be very profitable for them too, because people getting into the game can go just like go to Walmart or something like that, or order online and just buy the cards like that. And so, plus that'll also create kind of like a friendly environment for people who are just getting into the game. They can kind of get in and get a competitive deck for a lower price and just kind of hop right into the game. Because now I feel like a lot of players will get in this game and they'll start getting cards and realize that, you know, they can get a pretty good deck for, you know, like if they buy like they can find some deals online, or if they get some good packs, or they meet some good people at their league that'll hook them up. They'll pretty much get everything they need for a deck, but then once they have to get a shaman, you know, that's really when stuff just starts really hitting the wall, and they're like, well, shit, you know, because like you have to basically crank out like $100 or something like that just for like a couple shamans, which is absolutely ridiculous. And I'm not at all saying that if you have done that, that's a bad thing, but I'm just voicing my opinion. Let's see. Really, that's about it. I mean, like, there is some things that they can change that aren't really like too serious of an issue. Something that like, you know, doesn't really ruin the game. That's just some of the things that I personally don't like right now. Is the tournament format. Cards are too expensive, and you know, expanded. That's like a whole other topic. That's like a whole other thing. But EXs, I feel like the era of EXs just needs to stop because, good God, we've been in that for a long time, and really that's about it. You know, like I feel like they need to stop releasing these useless products and start releasing things that are actually going to be beneficial to people buying them. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. If you guys enjoyed the video, you know what to do. Make sure to like it and subscribe if you have not subscribed already. I would greatly appreciate it. And I just wanted to make a different change of pace from the last video, because the last one was me completely bashing Pokemon. But there are still some things that are good about it, some things that I personally still enjoy, because really, in all honesty, like events is one of my favorite things. I actually even thought about making a video, which is like my top 5 favorite things about Pokemon. And going to events and just seeing people that I don't really get to see that often is one of the best things I think about this game. Is I've met friends through this game that have become more than people that I play cards with. They become people that I feel like I'm going to be friends with for a very long time, and people I consider brothers and stuff like that. So yeah, that's just one of the things. You know, I've played this game for 8 years, and I've had people that I knew like within my first few months of playing that I'm still friends with now. So, you know, that's just my intake on it. If you guys disagree with me, that's perfectly fine. If you guys have anything that you would like to add, make sure to comment that down below. I disabled the comments for the last video because I just didn't want to get into any type of like altercations with people, because I was making a negative video. And so, yeah. But thank you guys so much for watching again. Have a wonderful day. I love you. And this is Epic Pokemon TCG signing out. Take care, guys.
Catch 'em all.